just worked out how to put the light on this. So, all right, starting again. So I'm really sorry that my last live feed was, it said I would do one later that day, but it didn't happen. So it's taken me this long, like a week. Long story. So it was at a waiting room for a CT scan from my memory. So what's been going on recently in the last month? Okay, so just before my last ketamine infusion, I had to have a CT angiogram with contrast, just a routine heart checkup because I've got the Brugada syndrome and all of that, and heart disease. So the doctor just wanted to check that there was all these okay things because I'm always in and out of hospital. They treat me like I am a hypochondriac because of the chest pain, and they're like, oh, you were only in here a few weeks ago, blah, 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 blah. And so I said to my cardio, when do I take this chest pain seriously, or when do I just stay home? And he said, well, you know what, we'll just see if there's any blockages in your arteries or anything. So we did that. So when I got home that day, so obviously this was just over a month ago, I felt pretty crap, felt a bit heavy in the chest and that, so I just went to sleep it off. Next morning I got up, I felt really bad, and I had hives and welts all over me, so some sort of an allergic reaction, you'd think. So I called my cardio and left a message for him, obviously, and I had to have an appointment, and I also had to come in for a COVID swab because I was coming in for my ketamine infusion on the Monday, so that'll happen on the Friday. And you always have to come in for ketamine before you have ketamine, or any like hospital admissions that are booked, you have to have a COVID swab, which is fine, no biggie, unless you don't like your brains dug out or a microchip put up them. Joke, it really is not true. So I get home from having my swab and everything, and as soon as I walk in the door at home, no joke, the surgeon, the cardio calls and says, get to the emergency department. And I'm like, oh Christ, what about, I'm supposed to be isolating now until Monday, and this was Friday. So I go to the nearest emergency department, and they spoke to my cardiologist over the phone. They got the results of my MRI from the day before, or not MRI, but angiogram or whatever, and it was a really horrific day. I was freaking out the whole time. Took them 4 goes to get the drip in. I hate needles, obviously. Terrified. So I was so on edge. I was tachycardic as well as this. There was people going psycho from one corner. I know there's mental illness because I suffer it myself, or these could have been drug induced, I don't know. There was one up the other end who was really freaking me out because he's threatening to run around the ER stabbing people. So I'm sorry if that offends anyone or it's horrible content, but this is what I was going through in the ED, and I was really freaking out. So they had to give me some Valium to bring my heart rate down. So by then they'd given me a second COVID swab, and so that I'd be fine because, of course, being in emergency, you're at a higher risk. So I was able to still have my ketamine on the Monday, and before I left the hospital, the doctor came back in. He was lovely, he really was, even with all my jokes. He said, look, everything's come back clear, your heart is perfectly fine, there's nothing to worry about, it just seems like an allergic reaction. We've given you some high dose intravenous antihistamines and something to calm you down. But I really think that you're going to do better at home because you've got less chance of being, near COVID or anything like that, and just keeping yourself calm. I'm like, okay, that's cool. He said, but before you leave, I need to just give you one more piece of information from your test results. I'm like, oh God, what? While they looked at your heart, while that is perfectly fine and functioning fine and everything is absolutely perfect, they found a mass. I'm like, what? And of course the tears are starting to go down. It's awful. And he said, we can't see all of it because with the CT angiogram they only went up so far. The mass is higher. Apparently it was there a year and a bit before, but it's grown in size and it's denser, which means that's not good. And it says query lymphoma, so of course I'm an absolute mess. I don't want to burden people with it and that, and so I'd been trying to hide it from my kids. I'd got my friend to pick me up and bring me home. I'm in tears. I rang my sister. I said, I don't know how to tell mum. She's going to freak out and everything. And she's like, well, you've got to tell her, but first person you've got to tell is your husband, which is so true. But I'm like, I don't know how he's going to take it. So we got through all that. And then they told me before I left, you have to ring your cardiologist's rooms first thing Monday morning so that they can get the ball rolling on this referral. You're going to be seen by this thoracic surgeon because it's outside of your cardiologist's range. So I'm like, okay. So I go in Monday. I come in here, which is St John of God, getting my ketamine, which is all hooked up. Today we've got Dave. I've called him because Alfred turned into too needy. So today is Dave the Drip. So while I was in here, I kept trying to ring, and they just knew nothing about it. I'm like, how can this be? The doctors at the hospital knew all about it. Why don't the surgeon, like the cardiologist rooms, know nothing about it? So, and they're like, we don't even get your test results for so long. I'm like, well, he had them because he was talking through them with the doctor at the hospital. I said, if you like, I've even got a copy. I can send them through to you. So they're like, oh yeah, if you could do that. So I get on the buzzer to my husband, and he emails them to me, or scans them because they're on my desk. He scanned them to me, and I emailed them through to them, and they said, got them, put them on his desk. I said, well, can you please get him to call me? Hours and hours pass. I'm thinking, what happened to first thing Monday morning? And I'm just getting more and more anxious. And of course, I'm alone. This is the first time I've been alone since getting this news. And ketamine kind of tends to send you a little bit drunk. So you get to be either a happy drunk, which I normally am, but then that day I was a sad drunk because I had time to be alone and reflect. And I was like really freaking out of what's to come. What if it is cancer and shit like that? So eventually they called back and they said, oh yeah, he'll call you or whatever, and nothing happened really. So I went home, nothing, no news, nightmare. So the next day or whatever, went through it all again, different person, because he works out of 2 different rooms. And they said, oh yeah, there's a referral here for this thoracic surgeon, but it hasn't been sent. And I said, well, that's strange. Why would you have a referral for someone and send it off if the patient knows nothing about it? Luckily I do, but what if the patient knew nothing about it? And why is this thoracic surgeon ringing them to make an appointment? It just doesn't make sense. So they said, well, you've got an appointment with the cardiologist on the 1st of November. Do you want to just see him then because we can't get you in sooner? I said, I don't understand what's going on here. It tells me I need to talk to him. And they said, oh, do you know what? One's just opened up tomorrow at 3:30. Do you want it? I'm like, yes, I want it. So I finally spoke to him. He explained it all to me. And then I was able to call the thoracic surgeon's rooms, and they were a bit painful as well because he works out of a hell of a lot of rooms. First I could get in was the 1st of November, and I said, I can't do the 1st of November. My children have their cardiologist and they cancelled their last appointment. We really need to find out if they can get the COVID vaccination. I can't get the okay without the cardiologist. So then they said, well, why don't you try one of their other rooms? I'm like, okay. Where else does he work from? He works from St John of God. Oh, good. Can you put me through? Oh, no, we can't put you through. We can only give you their number. So I plug in my computer because lights going to go out. One sec. Yeah, I'm getting there. It's going to really be pushing it. So, anywho, that's what happened there. That's going to be a real pain in the bum, that. My husband finally gets on the phone, and he was able to get me in sooner on the 28th. So we came and saw the doctor then, and he was really, really good. He said, if you need this surgery. I said, so what are you going to do, a biopsy or whatever? And he showed me all the scans and everything. And he said, no, there's too many vasculars around it. I think the whole thing needs to come out, but I need another scan, which is why I lived on Monday last week. I was supposed to have it last Friday, like the Friday prior, but we had huge storms here in Melbourne and the power went out at the hospital, which means they couldn't do the CT. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So then on the Monday when I was living you, I was sitting there for an hour in the waiting room, waiting for the CT scan. Everyone else was being called in. Obviously I know that there are so many different procedures back there in radiology, so some could have been ultrasound, some could have been MRIs, I get that. Some could have been x-rays. So then they finally call me up and they say the machine's broken. I see this as a sign. I shouldn't be having this operation. I'm terrified I'm going to die on the table. So they said, let's reschedule you for Thursday at 9:45. I'm like, okay, fine. I just said, whatever. Even though I was not going to go, I was just dead set. No, I want everything cancelled. I'd rather not do any of it. I don't want the operation. I don't want anything. This is a sign. I don't know if you people believe in signs, but I just couldn't do it. I am a Christian, but it was just, yeah. And I told my husband, I walked out to the car and I was in tears, and he said, why didn't you ring me? I would have come and got you from the door. I said, I rang you while I was in the waiting room. You didn't seem interested. You were busy working in the car. So I walked out to the car, got my steps up, but I was in tears, and I said, I don't want the operation now. And I told him what happened, and he goes, don't be so silly. I'm so sick of being told I'm being silly. So I ended up having to have a mammogram on Wednesday. That's fun. Went to IKEA. Their restaurant isn't open yet, so I couldn't get my meatballs for lunch. And then Thursday, they managed, that's right, Tuesday morning they rang me again. The machine's still broken, won't be fixed until at least Thursday. I'm like, this is another sign. This isn't helping me. So I rang my auntie. I was already on the phone to my auntie. I said, see, this is what happened. So I changed it to St John of God, which is where I am now, because they've got another exact same radiology place here. It's the same, it's just a different branch. And so they did it. But of course, because of COVID, they don't let you have a support person in with you to hold your hand while you're getting the needle. But luckily, I was able to talk them around, and they let my friend come in with me on Thursday. And I got it. I had the scan, so I'm supposed to be seeing the surgeon again this Thursday. He's got me booked in to have the operation on the 18th at Mulgrave Private. However, I'm going to try and see if he'll do it here at St John of God in Berwick instead, because it's closer to home, number one. I like this hospital a real lot. I've got to know this hospital, so I want to come here. So I'm going to ask him Thursday if that's possible, and what date would be possible for that. So that's what's been going on in my life at the moment. It's been pretty hectic. I finally told the kids, because he said he's 90% sure it's not cancer. It is probably a benign growth, but because of the density and the shape and everything, it needs to come out and where it's located. Um, it's just going to cause more problems. And I'm just like, wow. He says he's going to do it laparoscopically, but I'll be in the ICU for a couple of days. It's full on. I'm over it. I can't deal with any other thing right now. It is all consuming in my life right now. My brain cannot take up anymore. I can't, I've got friends who I'm always there for. I just can't be their shoulder at the moment because my shoulders just feel like they've just disappeared. So yeah, I told my children that mummy has to have an operation. Mummy has a lump in her chest that needs to come out. No, it's not cancer, because as far as I've been told, it's not. I hope I haven't lied to them. Only time will tell. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I'll talk to you again soon, guys. Thanks. Bye.